All right, folks, we're coming to you live on the eve of WWE Money in the Bank in the Windy City, in the Second City. We're here in Chicago, baby. At least I am. Mr. Marceau is broadcasting from Boston right now, driving home from work before his ass flies over here to Chicago for Money in the Bank on Sunday. We're not talking Money in the Bank today, though. We're talking TakeOver tonight in the Second City. It's going to be amazing. TakeOver never ceases to deliver. We sat together, we talked on the phone, whatever, Mr. Marceau and I before TakeOver New Orleans. He said, this bold prediction, which I thought was bullshit. Like, Roderick Strong's going to go heel and join the Undisputed Era. I'm like, dude, you're fucking joking. What a bullshit thing. Reading the dirt sheets. Dave Meltzer didn't say that, blah, 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 so it's not true. And then it happened. It's all for Mr. Marceau. So this is the place to get bold predictions for TakeOver tonight with that illustrious intro, RJ, welcome to the show. How you doing, dude?
Doing good, yes, I'm doing good.
And now, in 24 hours from now, as we record this, you are flying to Chicago after working on Saturday night. Kids flying into Chicago on Sunday morning, seeing the show, and then flying back out on Monday. Kid's a fucking madman.
Gotta do it, GSM. Gotta go to this. Gotta go to Chicago. Went to Money in the Bank a few years back. Gotta go back.
Gotta go back to rinse out that awful taste that the 2014 pay-per-view left you with.
Oh my god, I was looking at the card the other day. That show was fucking shit.
Are you sure it wasn't Boston? Are you sure it wasn't Jobber City instead of Boston? Because that show had so many jobber matches, it was ridiculous.
It was like 2 Money in the Bank matches, a good tag team match, and then WWE Superstars. It was fucking terrible.
What, you didn't enjoy Layla versus Summer Rae? Or whatever the fuck it was?
Yeah, dude, Adam Rose versus Paul Revere. Such a good match.
What else was it? Rusev versus Big E? Rusev versus Big E was great.
God. That show on
that was abysmal.
Rollins winning was sick. Cena winning was terrible. I wanted Bray Wyatt to win. Got buried again by Cena.
Oh, God. Classic show. This show should be even better. I know when you texted me a couple weeks ago, you're like, I can't miss Roman versus Jinder live. I got to come see Money in the Bank. I'm like, by all means. And RJ himself said, he's like, I just want to be there for Roman and Jinder and then skip everything else. So I might be in the bathroom or I might be going to get some Chicago pizza or something. So I said, fine, dude, whatever you want to do. But it's going to be a great show. We're not here to talk Money in the Bank, though. Like I said, I talked about that on Thursday on Wrestle Rant Radio. We might have to make this a regular thing, my friend, where we sit down and talk about all the takeovers. Because now we used to do the Big Fours, and we still do from time to time. But it seems like the takeovers are where it's at right now. And this show should be no exception. We're coming off of New Orleans, which, in my opinion, is the greatest takeover to date. Would you agree, RJ?
No, easily. I've rewatched that show 3 or 4 times. Rewatched the ladder match like 10 times. That match is so good. Top to bottom, really good card. Not one blemish on that card. Everything was good. Everything had a purpose, and I thought that show was easily the best takeover of all time.
Absolutely perfect. And an issue with a takeover like that is that it sets the bar too high for the next takeover. But I think looking at this card, we all know it won't be on the same level as New Orleans. But in typical takeover fashion, I'm sure it's going to deliver, and there's a lot of great matches on this card. A simple 5 matches. That's all there is. No more, no less. Not fucking 10 matches like we're getting on Sunday with a 5-hour show. It's going to be ridiculous. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Money in the Bank before, and Chicago should be great, but it's like, Jesus Christ. And the build's been abysmal. Whereas the build to this show has been fantastic. This week's show is great. We were talking off the air real quick before we started recording about Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly for the WWE United Kingdom Championship. Amazing match. That was a takeover level match. Takeover worthy match on Wednesday's NXT. We had that. We had Ricochet versus Donovan Dijak a few weeks ago. Where is the build ranked for you, RJ, for TakeOver? Are you super looking forward to the show, or are you just looking forward to it just because it's, TakeOver?
I think the build's been pretty good. I think most of the outcomes are pretty predictable. I wouldn't say I'm really going to go hard on the predictions. I think it's pretty one-sided on who I think is going to win. But I think the build's been good. I think NXT TV's been very good lately. I've been tuning in every Wednesday. I haven't missed an episode in a while. And I think, like I said, I think the build's been very well. The small little feuds they've had, they're good. Like I said, I think it's going to be predictable who wins, but I think they'll still put on a good show for the fans in Chicago.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think that was kind of the case with the Philly show that we went to earlier this year, and that was a great show too. I figured I don't know if I got every match right. I may have, and I'm pretty sure most people did. I'd have to go back and listen to our predictions. But that show was great,
we
too.
probably had Gargano going over, probably.
You did? I don't think I did.
I don't know. We gotta check the archives.
Check the archives. That should be a t-shirt. You know, Bruce Pritchard has his long list of t-shirts. We should have our own line of t-shirts. One being, check the archives, or that was putrid. I think we'll get a couple of those chants for Mr. Marceau on Sunday. Not a takeover, though. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up here. There's really, no filler match to start with, because they're all matches I'm looking forward to. We will start with the women, though, because I did want to bring up a point you brought up to me over text a couple days ago, that NXT's women's division right now is fucking loaded. Loaded. I mean, maybe not on the level of what it was 3 years ago, but it never will be, I think, the same of what it was in 2014, 2015 with Bayley and Becky and Banks and Charlotte. But still, you have a good crop of women now with a solid heel champion in Baszler, which we'll get to in a moment because I know you love Baszler, and as do I. You have her as the leader of the pack here, and you have Nikki Cross going for the championship on Saturday's show. But not only those two, you have Candice LeRae waiting in the wings. You have Kairi Sane, Lacey Evans, who I know you're not a fan of, but she's getting better. Who was the other one?
Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai, I'm a big fan of. She's really, really good. Obviously, Bianca Belair is a work in progress, too. She's a future star. So, yeah, they have a lot of solid women working their way up the ladder right now. But like I said, it will be Baszler and Cross for the NXT Women's Championship on this takeover. Real quick, RJ, your thoughts on the current state of the NXT Women's Division, and who do you have going over here?
It's funny how we're talking about this now, because I feel like a few months ago, maybe on hashtag when I was on there, or maybe it was one of these reviews where we're talking about how we thought the women's division was lacking in stars. They really didn't have anyone coming up. Maybe, I think at the time, we probably said Kairi Sane, because she was the only other really bigger name, like Nikki Cross, but yeah. But I think over the past couple of months, like you said, Bianca Belair starting to perform very well, Dakota Kai, Lacey Evans, I'm not a big fan of her, but she's improved. She's improved a lot. Vanessa Bourne's not lights out, but I think she has potential. And like you said, Candice LeRae's waiting in the wings, and Baszler's just the champ. Monster here. I love Baszler. But I think the division it's come a long way from when last time we really got in depth about it, especially all the talent pool that they've lost with everyone getting called up and such. But with this match, I think it's a pretty simple one. I think Baszler goes over. Nikki Cross, they're playing the whole crazy, getting in Baszler's head, but Saturday night, I don't see it. I think Baszler got her, easy win, and then next challenger, either Kairi Sane or Dakota Kai, maybe do a three-way, but I think it's either one of them challenge Baszler at Brooklyn 4.
I think we were both fans of the way that Baszler was built up, even a few months ago when she first went for the championship in Philly when we were there, and that was a good match with Ember Moon. And she's only improved since then. I mean, in the ring, she's not like a fucking Dakota Kai or a Kairi Sane where she's exciting per se, but I think it depends on who she works with. The Dakota Kai match they had on TV recently I thought was really, really good because that had that great dynamic because she's like a typical bully. And I said this on hashtag this week, where to me she feels like the female Brock Lesnar, where she doesn't give a shit about anyone, and just the way that she comes across and just carries herself and comes across in all of her promos and her matches. It's great. She has that aura about her that kind of separates it from Ronda Rousey. She has the whole MMA gimmick too, but with Baszler it's different, and she works as a heel. So I'm looking forward to the match. Nikki Cross is really, really good too. But, she's kind of been a stepping stone for that division for well over a year now. I mean, she lost to Asuka how many times? She lost to Ruby Riott a few times and a few others. I think a lot of people were surprised that she wasn't caught up or wasn't brought up with Sanity to the main roster. And I don't even know if we can call it a call-up yet because they have yet to appear on SmackDown. And Nikki Cross is doing better than them right now. That being said, though, like you said, Baszler walks out still the champion. I agree with you. I think Baszler retains the title here. In that case, does Cross get called up to the main roster with Sanity before they make their official main roster debut, hopefully as soon as Tuesday, or does she stick around in NXT for a little while longer?
That's a tough one. I would say probably just keep it on NXT and just keep her as a stepping stone for now. It's like not a jobber, but just someone that's she's kind of get cash, someone that people know, and just give credibility to the younger stars that get over a little bit. Because with the main roster, I feel like there's, especially on SmackDown, with Sandy's allegedly going to debut, they just have a lot of women right now they're not even really using well. are using at all. Like, they have so many women that are barely being used. And adding another woman just convolutes it even more. And I just think everyone else on that roster would get over way more than her. I think you just keep it down in NXT for right now.
I mean, it should be a great addition to the Sanity Act, and she always has been. I mean, if she's with them, it's okay, but I fear that if they put her in the SmackDown Women's Division, and I want to mention this briefly because we were texting about this, I feel like she would fall off a fucking cliff. She would get, not buried, but she would just be an afterthought, like the Iconics have been so far, and they haven't been booked, like, badly, but, like, just the way they come across with their promos, and this is a hit or miss thing. I've seen a lot of people, like, get back to me on Twitter saying they're a fan of their promo style and they don't know what I'm talking about. Not like people blasting me like when I said the Bellas were terrible a couple years ago. I know RJ remembers that. But just that people are a fan of, like, you know, the Iconic Duo. And we both like the Iconic Duo, but their promos recently have been beyond cringeworthy. I'm sorry, they've just not been good.
They're terrible. They seem so forced and they're just so, like, I don't know if it's childish, but just like, it's like annoying. It's like even though they're heels, it's supposed to be like kind of annoying, but just like for someone that likes them, I'm like, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah. I mean, still hot as hell. I won't take that away from them, but it's like, it's not. That's the thing. When people were telling me it's like they're heels, that's the reaction they're supposed to be getting. It's like, I mean, they're getting heat, I guess. Their matches have no heat. No one gives a shit. I'm sorry, but like you watch their matches and no one gives a shit. So that to me is like the epitome of what's wrong with their characters right now. Just because, I don't know, the promos aren't really well written. I don't know if it's them or the writers. And it's just like, I want to change the channel. Like, that's how bad their promos are. But this is an NXT review. Or preview, whatever. I just wanted to mention that real quick. Just because they haven't really done that much better since leaving NXT. But yeah, I think we both have Baszler retaining the title there. Also, for the NXT Tag Team titles, I think this could be one of the better matches of the weekend. We have the Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defending against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Obviously, two unknowns in Burch and Lorcan. They've been in NXT for years now, but they're both great. We've seen Lorcan in person ourselves. I feel like we've seen him wrestle at every NXT house show that we've been to, but never at any of the takeovers. Because I think he wrestled Ciampa one time when we went. He wrestled Elias one time, and he wrestled who did he wrestle the last time? Lars Sullivan, because he fucking squashed him in like 2 minutes, and it was great. So I think he's gonna have a great showing here. This match should be just a lot of fun. But yeah, your thoughts on the recent rise of Lorcan and Burch, and are they the new tag team champions here, RJ?
Yeah, I think, like you said, they've both been down in NXT for a while. And we've definitely seen Lorcan on every house show we've been to, I think maybe NXT Orlando. He might have been on like the dark tapings. He might have been.
He did, yeah. He lost to Elias there, but I feel like he might have lost to Elias in one of the house shows we went to too.
I think he lost one of the house shows as well.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, he's a great worker. He's one of those guys, at least in NXT, just not going to get over a certain level. He's kind of just like he's a good hand in the ring, just that he just won't ever do much. I like him with Burch. They both have like that strong style kind of wrestling, like they hit you hard.
Yeah.
They're quick, they're fast, but they just don't have what it takes to beat the Undisputed Era. I think O'Reilly has been firing on all cylinders since joining NXT. Like I said on Twitter the other day, huge praise for KOR. Wasn't really used to his Ring of Honor. I've never really seen any of his Ring of Honor stuff. But I think he's really turned into the real deal in NXT. Roddy Strong's looked really good since joining Undisputed Era as well. I feel like not that he was just generic, but like he just didn't really have any like character or charisma as himself. He was just kind of just playing just a random click a con freaking WWE 2K18. But I think since joining Undisputed Era, he's really came out with his chemistry and his personality. He's really fit well with the heel group, and I just think they're not the ones that are going to take the titles of Undisputed Era. I think they go over on Sunday, like you said, or Saturday night. It's going to be a great match, but I got Undisputed Era retaining.
Yeah, this faction has been killing it. I mean, they have really been on a massive roll ever since they debuted at TakeOver Brooklyn 3 last year. Adding Strong to the mix, he seems a lot more confident and comfortable than he ever did as a babyface. And he was a good babyface, but as a heel, it seems like he's having a lot more fun. And then O'Reilly is just fucking amazing with like the title belt thing and just the promos, the subtleties of his character. The guy's he was a hidden gem, I think is the best way to describe him. We went to that the Boston house show. Or no, the Lowell house show, the second one. When I think it was them versus like Sanity or something. And you asked me like, they were in Ring of Honor, you were asking me like what their gimmick was, or at least Kyle O'Reilly, and I think Bobby Fish too. And I was like, I don't know, they're just really good wrestlers. That's all I could really tell you, because they really didn't have a gimmick. And I mean, they were good. They had a lot of great matches with Cole and with each other and as a tag team, but beyond that, I didn't really care about him, per se. But coming to NXT has been, they really like will get the personality out of you. If you can't develop a personality in NXT, then you don't belong there. Then there's really no hope for you. But O'Reilly is really flourished in this Undisputed Era faction. I think they win here too. But Lorcan and Burchi, I don't think they'll ever really get beyond a certain level on their own or together. I mean, I guess I could see them on the main roster, but I could only imagine them getting fucking fed out to the Ascension on the main event taping. Like, they're not going anywhere. And they're great, but they don't really have much of a character. It's not like, with Ty Dillinger, he was another good hand in the ring that wasn't going to get beyond a certain level, but he had the 10 gimmick going for him. Lorcan doesn't really have anything except for the fact that he's a great wrestler, you know, so I don't know. I think this match will be great, though. I think they'll come close to winning the belts, but they'll fall short at the last second. But we both have Undisputed Era there. From there, we'll go to Ricochet and Velveteen Dream. I think this might be my most anticipated match of the weekend. Your thoughts in the build-up to this, RJ, and just the video packages and the promos from both Guy and, honestly, on a scale from 1 to 10, RJ, how big of a star is Ricochet?
All right, so I'll start off. I think this, like you said, easily my most anticipated match of the weekend. I think this program's been built perfectly. The promos, the video packages have been amazing. Ricochet's a fucking star and a half. Like you said, easily a 10. Guy's got everything. His promos could use some work.
He's better. He's better than he was in Lucha. I will say that.
Yeah, he's starting to get better. I think he's starting to gain his confidence and footing. He's still he's still pretty young. I'm pretty sure. I don't know his age off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he's still pretty young. So he's still getting it together. But the whole video package, when he did the freaking flip over the ropes right in front of Velveteen Dream, I fell out of bed. I was like, holy shit. Guy just has it all. I think Velveteen Dream's been killing as well. I think it also helps for him that Full Sail's actually taking him in. Instead of getting like the Elias treatment, it's kind of been like the other side, like they've actually praised him. I think that's the only thing that kind of sucks with Full Sail. Like someone like Elias, they kind of just like never gave him a chance. Velveteen Dream's the total opposite. I think they're both good in the ring. But I don't think there's any chance Ricochet loses. He can't lose. I just think he wins and then goes for either the NXT title or the North American title at Brooklyn 4.
I don't know. That's the thing. I think this might be the biggest toss-up of the show because I think there is a good chance Dream could win. Just because not that he needs a big win, because he won't be buried if he loses here. It's not a must-win situation for him. But Ricochet won't lose anything in defeat either if it's just an amazing match. I saw some people saying, I got to give a shout out to Jeremy8911 on the Twitter machine. He pitched a scenario where maybe we get Ricochet, Dream, and Adam Cole Bebe in a three-way for the North American title in Brooklyn, which, take my money, I need a new pair of pants. Like, that's how excited I would be for that matchup if we saw it in Brooklyn. But still, on paper, this should be an amazing match, too. I think maybe the best match of the weekend. Ricochet's a star and a half. Velveteen Dream, he's got the character down. That was the thing. I think that was a big question mark. And like with Elias, they're both good in the ring, but I think the real difference there was that not the fans, but I think creative really give Dream a chance to succeed. Whereas with Elias, they only really made him go so far. Because when Dream first debuted, I don't want to hear fucking anyone say, oh, I was in the bandwagon from day one. People hated this gimmick when he first got called up. Like, what is this Prince, stupid-ass Orlando Jordan shit? Like, this is dumb as hell. I was saying it too. I'm not saying I'm excluding myself from this, but he's really come a long way. He's owned the shit. The guy is great in the ring. I'm looking forward to it. You know what? For the sake of being bold, I'm going to say Dream. I think Ricochet will win, but just to be bold here, I'm going to go off the radar and say Dream wins. But you do think the NXT Championship is ultimately the destination that Ricochet is headed to?
Yes, has to be. Guy's the biggest star in the company in NXT right now. He has to win the title.
And to answer your own question from a few weeks ago, how high do you think the ceiling is for Ricochet, a guy like him on the main roster?
It's tough for main roster because they can ruin anyone so fast.
Doesn't matter who you are, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Fucking, they ruined Shinsuke Nakamura somehow.
And Finn Balor.
I would have to say, I think his ceiling has to be WWE title championship. He's just so fucking good. He's so fucking over. He's basically just a way more athletic Seth Rollins. The guy's fucking money. He's got the whole gimmick down, the whole entrance, the whole presentation. The guy's just straight money. I have to go ceilings WWE championship. The guy's fucking amazing.
The entrance is great. The theme is great.
Oh my
He
God,
looks
amazing.
like a star. When we were in Philly and he was in the front row and the crowd was chanting Ricochet and he was like, oh my God, he was wearing the suit. The guy looked like a fucking $1,000,000. He's just so good. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in NXT and on the main roster eventually. Hopefully it's not, you say WWE Championship. I fear it's 205 Live, which has been a lot better. Nothing against 205 Live. That's not where Ricochet belongs. Let's face it. He is so much better than that.
Way.
Oh my God.
No way.
I would hope that Vince sees the potential in this guy. Otherwise, they would not have courted him for as long as they did. Because this guy, we were talking about this fucking 3 years ago, dude. You put it on your list. You called it 3 years ago of indie stars I want to see in WWE. And that was even before you watched Lucha. I'm pretty sure you put Ricochet on that list. And here we are 3 years later, and he's finally here. The guy's killing it right now. I'm so disappointed you won't be at the show on Saturday because we have yet to see. I mean, I've seen Ricochet before in person at an indie show at Northeast Wrestling, but not on a stage like this. So maybe when we go to TakeOver next year before Mania, if you want to go to that show, hopefully still there by that point, and we can see him hopefully win the championship there or something because the guy is so good, and you need to see Ricochet. I met him a couple months ago. I met him last year, and he was so nice, too. And I was like, oh, I love your Prince Puma work, and that was all I could say because I didn't really know much about him at that point. I know you're a star, dude, but I don't know what else to tell you. But yeah, the guy's so. I think I told him too. I can't wait to see you in NXT because he knew. I can't wait to be there while his girlfriend flounders in Impact, or his ex-girlfriend, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But next match here, let's see. I'll go with the Chicago Street Fight next. It's a rematch from TakeOver New Orleans. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. This is going to be another barn burner of a weekend for the weekend. I think it's going to be an amazing match. I think you got to go Ciampa here. I mean, Gargano won the first one. I think the feud is continuing. I know a lot of people are skeptical. Can they have as good, if not a better match than they did over Mania weekend? Just because, looking at these two guys and the match they had over that weekend, it was arguably the WWE match of the year if we're including NXT here. And this is essentially the same stipulation. But I think if any two guys can pull it off, it's them. In the same city where Ciampa betrayed him in the first place, back in Chicago last year. But I think Ciampa goes over here. So what do you think happens, RJ? And does the feud, is this the end of the line for Gargano and Ciampa?
Yeah, you got to go Ciampa here. I think, like you said, I think at this point, after not having another match after the non-sanctioned one, it's got to be a 3-match series. So got to go with Ciampa here. I think it is kind of weird, though, that they're doing another, kind of like a street fight, no DQ match, especially after the non-sanctioned match. When we talked about this back in April, we're like, oh, easily going to be the one-match blow-off, and then now they're doing another match, kind of the same concept. It was kind of weird, but that match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans was fucking amazing. So I think this one's going to be as good. Maybe they'll actually do a little street fighting, maybe actually go on the fucking street or backstage. WWE's main roster can't book a fucking street fight, right? So I bet you NXT can do it good. So I expect a really good match, but you got to give Ciampa this one. Tied up 1-1 going to Brooklyn 4.
Yeah, I think so. I think the ultimate destination for Gargano, a lot like Ricochet, is winning the winning the NXT Championship. I mean, I was thinking about that. I was talking to Randy about this yesterday, but on Thursday, that with Gargano, he is still to date, as we speak, unless something changes tonight, he is still the only person to have pinned Black in any situation. I mean, it wasn't one-on-one, but it was in that 4-way. I think they'll play that up at some point because Gargano wanted to go for the belt a few months ago, but then Ciampa attacked him. So I think that's where he's going, a Gargano Black match, maybe at Brooklyn, but I do think we get a third match in Brooklyn. Gargano wins that one, and then it's over from there, and maybe he goes for the belt over Mania weekend, or I don't know, but something like that. But I think him winning the belt is where this thing needs to culminate. I know Gargano could be on the main roster tomorrow and do well, and he's been there now for almost 3 years, a lot like Sami Zayn, but I think it would be a crime if he didn't win the championship before he gets called up. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. I think, like you said, the end game is him winning. Probably have him be Black at the TakeOver that's for Survivor Series weekend. I don't expect a long reign, but for someone that's put in the time that he has at NXT, had the amazing matches that he's had, been screwed over so many times. I think it's just add him to another great name on that NXT Championship list.
I think so. I think it's going to be a lot like when Sami Zayn won the belt a few years ago in just the moment because, again, he was a lot like Sami where Sami lost a lot. So it meant a lot when he finally won it. Only get betrayed by Kevin Owens at the end of the show, which was amazing. So maybe Gargano wins the belt and then Ciampa attacks him again. Who knows? But that would be great. So, yeah, I got Ciampa here winning as well. You said the same thing, right?
Right.
And speaking of the championship, that brings us to the main event. Or actually, real quick, before we go forward with the main event, one last note here. Not a TakeOver New Orleans, but we did at TakeOver Philly when we were there, which was amazing. We got a few stars in the crowd. You know, obviously some new signees in Candice LeRae. We had War Machine, War Raiders, whatever. EC3, Ricochet. No one over New Orleans weekend, over WrestleMania weekend. At TakeOver Chicago, RJ, do you think anyone might pop up in the crowd? Do you expect any big indie stars to possibly show up? I know I asked the same thing when we talked about this months ago, but does that change in New Orleans or in Chicago at all?
There'll be somebody, but I couldn't even tell you who.
You're not familiar with Keith Lee, are you?
I've heard of the name. I think he's from TNA, right?
No, he was in Ring of Honor for a cup of coffee, but he's like a big indie guy. Like I didn't think you would know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you saw him, giant black guy, but he's so good though. He's really, really good. I think he's WWE bound. He's a lot like Donovan Dijak, but like bigger. Not like fat, but like bigger. So I think he might show up. Beyond him, I mean, honestly, is there really anyone else that this company can scoop up that's not under contract right now? Like, aside from like the fucking Bullet Club, is there really anyone else that you want to see left in NXT?
I can't name someone, but they'll find somebody.
I think I was thinking the same thing a year ago, and then they brought in Adam Cole, baby. They bring in like everybody. They're bringing all these stars. They made a star to Patrick Clark from Tough Enough, so that's NXT's track record for you. I expect nothing different beyond this takeover. But anyway, getting to the main event, Aleister Black versus Lars Sullivan. I, for one, have enjoyed the build to this match. I think Sullivan is very good, maybe not amazing yet, but they protected him well. They built him up well. He plays the role really, really well. I think in the ring he can hold his own. He had a great showing in New Orleans. He had a great match a few months ago with Killian Dane, the no DQ match. He had a real good match with Cassius Ohno back in November at War Games. He's been built up very well. I think this is the night, though, where he falls to Aleister Black, fades the Black, and Black is still the NXT champion. What say you, RJ?
I was just going to say that tonight, Lars Sullivan fades the Black. Like you said, he's been booked. I think he's been booked amazingly. Full Sail fucking not in New Orleans, so they're not a big fan of him. But I think they built up Sullivan really well. Like I said, he's had some great matches. Oh no, the one with Killian Dane was really good. I thought his performance in the match at Boone was good. Played his part well. He's just a big freak, basically what he is, a big monster.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, he works well in the ring too. I thought at first he was, like you said, obviously not. He's newer to the wrestling game, so it wasn't the freaking Matt Classic. But I think he has improved a lot in the ring. He plays his character very well. It's not time for him. It's Aleister Black's time. It's his NXT, and he's not going to lose that title to Sullivan. I think Sullivan maybe down the road. Probably not going to win the title, I don't think. I think he'll be one of those guys that Vince is Vince sees his muscles and his size, so he'll just get called up. But maybe an NXT North American title reign down the road, but I don't think he's going to win the big strap anytime soon. So I got Aleister Black.
I hate to make this comparison, but I think it's going to be a lot like Baron Corbin, where like Corbin, I don't even think Corbin ever went for the championship. So Sullivan, he's got that over him. But yeah, it might be a case where he never wins the belt, but he gets called up anyway just because he's progressed a lot. The only thing I would say was that I hope he doesn't lose here and then get called up right after. Like, that would be a mistake, because I think it's still too soon.
Way too early still.
I think he could. There's a few different people he could feud with in NXT before he gets called up. I mean, there's always Gargano. There's Ricochet. They have a strong lineup of baby faces that he could take on at some point after TakeOver. That aren't, now that he's facing Aleister Black and will likely lose. I don't know. There's just a few different people I would rather see him against before he gets called up. I think he would just flounder. He really would not go any. There's really no spot for him right now in either Raw or SmackDown. So I wouldn't call him up anytime soon. But I agree. I think Aleister Black holds on to the gold. He's still the NXT champion. A lot like Philly, I think this will be a show where no titles change hands. I think we both agree on that. But it still should be a good match, a good show on paper. And speaking of which, also real quick prediction. They are doing before TakeOver for the TV tapings, Dakota Kai, Bianca Belair. Quick prediction, RJ. Who goes over there?
Belair.
Continue the rise?
You gotta. Like you said, Dakota Kai is one of those people she can lose. It's not gonna kill her. I think I don't know. Is Belair a face or a heel? I don't really know.
I think she's a heel.
She's kind of like.
I saw your text.
She's like a tweener.
I don't know.
I think she's a little bit of both, but no, I think Belair goes over.
She plays the bitch role real well, too. I'll give her that. Oh, God. She makes me hate her really, really much. And she's coming a long way as well. And she's another one, again, not an indie darling. She was one of those, like, freak athletes they made into a superstar. And she has that aura about her. And she's really come a long way since the Mae Young Classic. But, RJ, before we wrap it up, any other thoughts on the black and yellow brand heading into TakeOver tonight?
Should be a good show, and can't wait to be in Chicago on Sunday.
Any expectations for the Windy City, RJ? It can't be any worse than New Jersey, right?
It can't be any worse. I'm looking for a good time.
You want to eat some pizza when you get here on Sunday? How about that?
Easily.
Chicago pizza. All right, RJ, before we let you go, where can the people find you in the Twitter machine? I think it's pretty obvious, but people got to hear it.
At RJ_Marceau on the Twitter.
Perfect. People can find out all of RJ's 2 cents on the Twitter machine, always tweeting about NXT, UFC 225, how bad Punk's fight was, how abysmal Raw can be. This guy has 2 cents in the Twitter machine. Less is more. Feed me more is Ryback's thing. Less is more with Mr. Marceau. Doesn't tweet a lot, but when he tweets, makes an impact, and it's always golden. All right, RJ, thanks for joining me here on the show. Always a blast, and I'll talk to you in 2 months for TakeOver Brooklyn. Before then, I'll see you Sunday.
All right, sounds good, brother.
All right, adios, brother. I'll catch your ass down the road, i.e. in 2 days.
See you later.
Peace.